The constant loop is one of the most frequently discussed paradoxes in theories and fiction about time travel. This phenomenon refers to a situation where an event's cause and effect are cyclical, making it impossible to determine which came first. A classic example is when a time traveler goes back to the past and causes an important invention or historical event, only to realize that the invention or event was originally based on the time traveler's knowledge. As a result, the origin of the invention or the cause of the event is caught in an eternal loop, leaving its starting point ambiguous. This constant loop presents a particularly challenging problem within the traditional understanding of causality. Causality generally refers to the principle where one event causes another, leading to a new event, with this sequence progressing in a single direction over time. However, in a constant loop, the cause and effect repeat in a circular fashion, creating a state where it's impossible to identify which came first. This situation challenges the conventional understanding of time as a linear progression based on causality. To interpret this paradox, various hypotheses have been proposed in the fields of physics and philosophy. For example, theories based on the multiverse or branching timelines suggest that the contradictions caused by time travel can be resolved by the idea that new timelines branch off, meaning that a time traveler's actions in the past create a new timeline without affecting the original one. However, this hypothesis also offers only a limited solution to the constant loop and cannot fully explain it. The new interpretation proposed here is to reconsider the constant loop by temporarily freeing it from the framework of time and causality and re-examining it from a more fundamental ontological perspective. In this view, the loop itself is assumed to exist as a self-contained reality. That is, the events within the loop are treated as phenomena that possess internal coherence, independent of external time or causality. In this approach, the constant loop is accepted as an inevitably occurring phenomenon. In other words, the cause and effect of the loop are mutually dependent, with the loop's inherent structure maintaining itself. Thus, the constant loop is recognized as a new form of existence, free from the constraints of time and causality. In this form of existence, the events within the loop may appear causally unclear to an external observer, but within the loop, they are considered completely coherent. To deepen this interpretation, a quantum mechanical perspective can be introduced. Concepts such as superposition of states and the observer problem in quantum mechanics suggest the possibility that multiple realities can coexist simultaneously. Based on this, the constant loop can be understood as a kind of quantum phenomenon. Within the loop, the cause and effect exist simultaneously, and the reality is determined only when an external observer intervenes. In this model, the events within the loop are determined only through the intervention of the observer, thus resolving the contradiction of causality. For example, if a time traveler goes back to the past and causes an event that supports their own existence, that event is understood by an external observer as the result of the loop, but within the loop, the event exists in a superposition state where it is both the cause and the effect. According to this idea, the constant loop is not merely a paradox but is seen as a consistent quantum phenomenon. Furthermore, this new interpretation invites us to reconsider the idea of time itself as a fixed, unidirectional flow. By considering time as not linear but more flexible and multilayered, phenomena like the constant loop become easier to understand. For instance, if time is a multilayered existence, events within the loop could occur across different layers of time, with each layer having its own independent causal relationships. Thus, by redefining time as having a complex structure, the problem of the constant loop can also be re-evaluated from a new perspective. Ultimately, this approach to reinterpreting the constant loop goes beyond traditional understandings of time and causality, capturing this phenomenon on a more fundamental ontological level. This allows the constant loop to be understood not as a mere paradox or contradiction but as a phenomenon that reflects the complex structure of time and reality. This new interpretation provides a foundation for exploring further possibilities in fiction and theory about time travel. In addressing the paradox of the constant loop in time travel, where existing theories and hypotheses have yet to provide a complete resolution, a new idea is proposed here to solve this issue. This idea builds on the previously discussed new interpretation and aims to provide a more specific and practical approach to resolving the constant loop. Firstly, I propose introducing multiple time layers as a new approach to reconstructing the concepts of time and causality. Time layers offer a fresh perspective on time, in contrast to the conventional linear flow of time, with each layer possessing its own independent flow of time and causality. This structure is somewhat similar to parallel worlds or the multiverse theory, but with the crucial difference that these time layers are not entirely independent of each other. Instead, they can interact under specific conditions. Next, a time management system is introduced to manage these time layers. This system is based on an advanced algorithm capable of predicting the likelihood of a loop occurring when a time traveler interferes with the past and taking appropriate action to prevent it by intervening in the correct time layer. Specifically, when a time traveler intervenes in a past event, and it is determined that this intervention might cause a loop in the original time layer, the system transfers the intervention to a new time layer, minimizing the impact on the original timeline. At the heart of this time management system is the time layer adjustment mechanism. This mechanism decides to which time layer an event should belong when a time traveler causes it in the past. For example, if a time traveler goes back to the past and makes a particular invention, the mechanism assesses in real time whether that invention would cause a loop in the original time layer. If it is deemed highly likely that a loop would occur, the invention is assigned to a different time layer to prevent the loop. Through this adjustment, the influence of the time traveler's intervention can be reflected in a different reality while avoiding the creation of a loop. Furthermore, this system has a continuous monitoring function that checks whether the possibility of a loop has been entirely eliminated after the time layer adjustment is made. This function ensures that even if the time traveler's actions lead to unforeseen consequences, the system can respond quickly by regenerating a new time layer or modifying an existing one to prevent a loop from reoccurring. In this way, the time management system functions dynamically and adaptively, managing the complex fluctuations in causality resulting from time travel. To complement this idea, I propose the concept of self-repairing time. This concept is based on a principle of self-consistency, where time itself works to automatically avoid loops. Specifically, when a significant contradiction occurs in the flow of time, time itself naturally reconstructs causality to repair the contradiction, thereby resolving the loop. This allows time itself to correct contradictions when time management systems fail, ultimately avoiding the loop. The concept of self-repairing time is closely related to quantum mechanics concepts like the observer effect and superposition of states. The self-repairing ability of time is based on the idea that, in a quantum state where multiple possibilities exist, the outcome with the least contradiction becomes the reality. This way, even if there is a possibility of a loop occurring, time ultimately converges into a consistent form, maintaining self-consistency. Finally, let's consider an application of this idea. For example, if a time traveler goes back to the past and causes an event that is crucial to their own existence, there is a possibility that this event could form a constant loop. However, by combining the time management system and self-repairing time, this loop can either be moved to another time layer, or time itself can resolve the contradiction and build new causality. As a result, the loop does not occur, and the flow of time is maintained in a consistent manner. In this way, the new idea to resolve the constant loop involves a combination of introducing time layers, utilizing a time management system, and incorporating the concept of self-repairing time. This approach offers a fresh perspective on resolving the traditional paradoxes associated with time travel. This approach not only provides a theoretical resolution but also lays the foundation for further development in both time travel fiction and real-world scientific research. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.